Hello again, welcome to this new video. This is the 10th installment of the tactics series and let's get right into it. So as usual, pause the video, try to figure it out yourself and then we can compare our thought process. So what is going on here? So we have some pawn endgame. So we have a couple of options. So now the pawn is hanging, so it seems we have to either defend it or push it or take it. Taking would win us time, but I'm not sure it would be very useful, as then both sides have passed pawns. What I like most here is b4. This positionally is most desirable, as then if white pushes his passed pawn, we will take, and then he will not really have a passed pawn after king c5, because he cannot push b4. So if he doesn't push the c pawn, we will just push the e pawn and we will be practically a pawn ahead. So of course we have to calculate something, but I'm pretty sure this is the answer. But okay, b4. So c3 I'll take, he will take back, I'll go king c5. The idea is to use this pawn as a bait for this king. I will go king b4 and pick up these two pawns and hopefully promote this one sooner than he can do the same here. So b4, c3, takes, king c3. Then he is kind of in zugzwang, king d3, king b4. He doesn't have time to go there, so king c2, and then I will just go e5, e4, e3. He will pick up the e pawn, I will pick up these pawns. Then he might be able to go back to the corner, but then I'll go take this one. So this seems simple enough. If he doesn't push this pawn, what else? King e3, d4, I guess, king d3. But then after e4 and king c3, king e5, he won't even have the chance. This seems correct, b4. Right, here we will take king c5. Because here white was threatening b4, so we will stop it. Here b4 we will just take it and we will be winning. So this was pretty interesting pawn endgame. Didn't really require too much calculation, it's more about the positional aspects. Okay, next one. Okay, pause the video, try to figure this one out. Okay, checks, captures, attacks. What's going on here? We are 2 pawns down. So we will have to do something special, I guess. This king is kind of running short of squares, it seems. Can we checkmate it? So checks, h4 is the only check. Captures, no real captures. Attacks, what can we attack? The rook. This doesn't really do much. Can't attack the knight. So it seems we don't really have many forcing moves. Can we create some kind of threat? This king can now, after h4, can go to h6. Seems like the only square. Okay, so let's try to checkmate the king. So h4, king h6. Where's the checkmate? So g5 is a check, but king h5 I guess is possible. So then if he goes to h7, then this is checkmate, right? g6, king h6, rook d8, and checkmate is inevitable. So here I guess he has to go to h5, but then there's just rook d8, right? I think this just checkmate like this. Why didn't I think of this sooner? h4, here g5. Here then check and rook d8. So h4, g5, king h5, rook d8, threatening this. Can't really stop it. Yeah, it seems like checkmate quite quickly. Okay, somehow this took me way too long. Okay. Yeah, he can sacrifice the rook, but the pawn is not far enough. Okay, next one. Okay, pause the video, figure this one out, and okay. So we're down a piece, but we have a few pawns. So checks here or here. Taking here doesn't seem to make much sense. This seems to be the most promising move. Can't really attack anything. Well, we can attack the bishop, but there's not much point. It will run away, I guess. Otherwise, captures, one capture, so rook d2. And the king will have to go somewhere, f1, g1, or h1. So let's go one by one. So if h1 here, the threat is not only to capture the bishop, but also after king h2 to go f2 and promote the pawn. It's important to understand that this rook endgame with two connected passed pawns should be winning against the 1g pawn. So rook d2, king h1, I think we're quite easily winning there. Also, we could give this check and just pick up the bishop after every single one of these moves. So let's check this one first. Let's say go like this. The king could go to f2 or g2 or wherever and get that endgame. But actually you can play f4 there, I guess. So check. Either way, I'm not really certain about that endgame. Not entirely sure with 2g pawn. So I think we should take, probably. Okay, let's say king f1, seems most natural. G takes f3, threatening this. And then after king f2, if we pick up the endgame like this, then this one should be winning with two pawns against g. It should be quite easily winning. So what's he doing after gf? If king e1, interestingly this bishop is kind of trapped. So if king e1, I think f2 and same endgame, so yeah, seems simple enough. Yeah, I didn't really look at this check, but I think at we can't really. I mean, we could go to f6, right? Rook g6, king f7. But we can also go here, right? Don't really see much of a problem. If we go here, the bishop runs away, I guess. Somewhere. I'm not really convinced. Probably I should be convinced. So probably the move is king f6 to attack the rook. After this here, and the bishop remains trapped. So, yeah, a bit tricky, but nothing too special. Again, king e1, f2. Otherwise, we're threatening to get a winning rook endgame. Okay, let's do one last one. So, what is going on here? Pause the video, try to solve it yourself. Checks, captures, and attacks. So, if check, didn't seem to achieve much. Captures, no captures with the queen. I mean, exchanging queens won't really make much sense here. We're bishop down. Rook e5 is an obvious candidate move. It also attacks the queen. Otherwise, h4 I guess is an attack, but queen e7 I would assume. Maybe that's also interesting, but okay. Rook e5 is the most obvious move. So what's he supposed to do after rook e5? So if the queen moves to defend the bishop like queen f6 or g6, then I think after rook e1 should be winning. Though we do have some kind of back rank issue. No, wait, we don't. There's a square. So rook e5, let's say queen f6, rook e1. I'm threatening to win the queen and stuff. King f8 we will take, and we are 2 pawns ahead. This should be enough. So rook e5, I think queen e7 is the only move. And then what can we do? Checks, captures, attacks. There's this check. King f7 I would assume. Not king f7, rook e1, rook d6. He's kind of holding on. So queen e7, capture, the queen will take back. Don't really see a way forward. What else? So queen e7. Takes. Rook e1, rook d6. Not really. Rook e5, queen e7. What else? Okay, let's give it a check. Rook king d7 to protect the bishop. Rook a1, rook d6. I guess we can take on e6, right? With the point that if the queen takes, we will take back. If he takes the queen, we will take here. Endgame with 2 pawns up. Otherwise, king f7, rook a1, rook d6. I think it's the same with rook e8. The point is to take everything on e6 and then give this check on c7, pick up the rook. I think this should work. Yeah, rook e5, queen e7, queen c6, king f7, rook a to e1, rook d6, take on e6. So if he takes the queen, we will take on e7 with check. And if he takes on e6, we will exchange, play queen c7, king g6, we will take the rook, queen 8 e1 check, king h2, queen takes f2. But then we can exchange queens with queen g3 check. And if the king hadn't gone to g6, can it go to f6 somehow? So rook e5, queen e7, queen c6, king f7, rook a1, rook d6 takes, takes. If king f6 takes. But then if the king is on f6, then queen f8 picks up the queen. I'm just checking whether or not we will keep the 2 pawn advantage, and it seems we will. Black can kind of pick up the one on a2, but seems a bit irrelevant. Okay, let's take queen c6, rook a1, take here, go here. Yeah, and the point here, yeah, I guess this is possible as well, but the point is, if the king is on f7, we will pick up the second pawn again, and after queen c7 there will be no perpetual. Otherwise, if the king is on g6, then we will pick this one up, and he can't take this because of the pawn endgame. Otherwise, if the king is on f6, then he cannot pick the pawn up because of this. So this is what I calculated. So yeah, this one seems good enough. Calculation was quite smooth this time. So okay, hopefully you enjoyed this, hopefully you found it useful, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.